in Parshas Chayesara told us, Vayetze, speaking about marriage. Rabbi Gamliel Rabinovich has a yesod in marriage. And he calls it vitur. He said a husband has to think of his wife and put her, that's what vitur is, put her before himself. And if she feels that he puts her before himself, and his requirements are one that has her best interest in mind ahead of his own, so therefore she will respond in the same way. She will also want to be able to put his best interest before hers. That's his yisod. He calls it vitur. That, just as I said this. And he gives a very, very interesting dugma of a ma'aser that probably lo haya, but sometimes fiction, truth is stranger than fiction. But he says the following to bring this out: a woman, the wife of a very wealthy man, became ill, and she went for treatment to somewhere far away, Europe, probably 150, 200 years ago, whatever it may be. And with the husband sent her with money to pay for the treatment. She sent him a letter and notified him that she needed another 50,000 ruble to be able to continue the treatment. And of course he got it ready to send, but it wasn't easy to get it to her. First of all, if you don't have a real honest person, so, who knows, the man absconds with the money. But here, he found someone. The problem was the man wanted an exorbitant amount of money to take it. He was a gouger. And he wanted, and they discussed, so that he was offered 1,000 rubles to take 50,000 rubles, but he wanted much more. Finally, the husband who had collected that money said to this man, listen, let's make a shtar together. And I want you, we've come to this, to this matzah, and we can't agree upon an amount, but I want you to know, take the money and give her anything you want. Listen carefully. Give her anything you want. The man hears this. Fantastic. He's been arguing about how much money he's going to pay. Now he can take, and he says, give her anything you want. Wow. So he says, sure. He signs, because he's going to give her kol ma she'ata rotzeh tein la. Kol ma she'ata rotzeh tein la. And that's a pretty good deal. Kol ma she'ata rotzeh. So he takes the money, he goes to her, and he says, I'm here, I want 49,000 rubles. 49,000 rubles? Yeah, I have a shtar. The shtar says, give her anything you want. And that's what I want. I want to give her the rest. If you get 1,000, I'll get the 49,000. She says, I want to go to a din Torah, to the Rav, and that's what they did. They went to the din Torah, the Rav. The Rav couldn't paskin right away. And he first wanted to make sure that the shtar was an authentic shtar. It is. They're fine. So now, the next day, he says, come and see me. Now he had all the information, and he had the shtar, and he had the money, and he says to this man, how much money do you want? He says, I want 49,000 rubles. Wonderful, he says, give her 49,000 rubles. What? Yeah. This is the shtar. The shtar says, anything, give her anything you want. You want 49,000 rubles? Give it to her. That's exactly what it says. You signed on it, that's it. This is the yesod. The yesod is that you give her, says Rabbi Gamliel Rabinovich, that which you want. I want 49,000. Wonderful. Give it to her. And she has to get that feeling that what you want is her benefit. That was the yesod. He contrasts it with a very interesting story of a different person who, without a doubt, from the story you see, was in Gansen, not like this man, 1,000%. It's a fellow who goes to Minyan, and he has an appointment after Minyan, and he takes his talis and film, and he is, he knows he's going to go to Minyan, he's going to go home right away, drop off his talis and film, and go on to his appointment. He's not even going to eat breakfast. And here he is, he's after davening, has talis and tefillin, and he's running home. And he sees, headed towards the building that he lives in, a lady, and she's trudging barely to the building. She's carrying, these big bags from the grocery store, the supermarket, whatever it is, and he's gonna, pass her in a second. And he figures, listen, while I'm on my way already, passing her, I'll do a chesed. And I'll take a couple of packages up, to the building and drop it off wherever she is. Anyway, as he passes her, he sees who's the lady, his wife. And he forgets all about the chesed. But he says to her, listen, you have the, here. He says, you're going to my apartment anyway. Take my talis and tefillin. He gives it to her, off he goes. Now, these are, says from Gamliel, we see there has to be vitur. And vitur clearly means to him that when we are going to be successful, it's always going to be when we put our wives ahead of us, and their benefit is going to be there. So I would say, without a doubt, choose one, and number one, that's the way to go. Okay? As I say. Another area altogether, and that is the end of the parsha deals with Aim Yaakov Yosef. Comes, in other words, Yaakov is sent, leaves Yitzchak, and he's going to go to Lavan, then Besuel, and the Achi Rivka, Aim Yaakov. So Rashi mentions over here, a beautiful Rashi, something for our children, our Talmidim, ourselves. And Rashi says this is one of 77 places in Chumash where Rashi says to the effect, Ein ani yodeya, and neni yodeya, mazem alamdenu, or whatever it is. And here's what do you have to say? Aim Yaakov Yosef. Everybody knows. This whole parsha, starting from Yisrot to Abana Mikir, but before that, Vayadir Davling, she's the mother of Yaakov and Yosef. What do you have to tell it to us again? I don't know. So the Yisod is Azay. First of all, we see that when Rashi says he doesn't know, but clear that when he does know, he knows. Another consideration is he didn't have to say anything about the pasuk at all. Rashi doesn't comment on every pasuk. Pasuk Aleph, in this very big Beis Gimel Daled Hey, Rashi has something to say. This is pasuk Hey. Aleph, he's not saying anything. So in many psukim, the idea is Rashi B'davka is saying he doesn't know. He's telling us, listen, there's what to say. I don't, as a Pashtan, I don't have something to say on this. You can find it. And there's plenty that is said about this. A lot of Joe has been spilled on this. However, Klor, we see that almost 1,000 years later, people are seeing the integrity of Rashi. It means that Emunas Chachomim is deep. This is an interesting thing because you have, I don't think we talked about it, but in the city of Nikolsburg, at the time of Rabbi Kiva Eger went to Nikolsburg, and the Rav there was Mordechai Bennett, and Rav Mordechai invited him to give over a drasha. And during the drasha, Mordechai Bennett asked the Shaila on Rabbi Kiva Eger, the Gadol Ador, and Rabbi Kiva gave thought, closed the sefer, and stepped down. Rav Mordechai Bennett was like, oh no, what did I do? He went to Rabbi Kiva Eger, where he was staying, to be misnatzel, to apologize. As he walked in, Rabbi Kiva Eger said, this and this is the answer to the shaila that you said. So he asked, he said, well, if you knew, why didn't you answer? He said, you're the Rav. I wanted to be mechazik your mind. I wanted to reinforce your position. It wouldn't have been, even if he answered the shaila, it's not a question of humiliation. He wouldn't have been, it's not a, if he answered, it wouldn't have been a problem. But the fact is he wanted fakir, he wanted to build him up. Rav Mordechai Bennett asked the people in the city to come that very night. And there in front of everybody, he clarified to them exactly what happened. He gave over the conversation. From there came a huge amount of covenant Torah. That we see our Gedolim are not katanim in Gedolim's clothing. A Gadol is a Gadol, that's why he's a Gadol. He looks at the world differently. It's a different way. It's not politics. It's not on my covenant, his covenant. Otherwise, if he does, he's not a Gadol, he's a Gadol. But these are mamish Gedolim. And therefore, Baruch Hashem Ashreinu, that we're able to have situations like this. How much more time do we have? Okay, this is it. The beginning of the parsha. Another idea, and that is the beginning of the parsha. So you have the it says Yitzchak is davening Vayaseh lo Hashem v'tar Rivka. Yitzchak and Rivka daven together, Vayasser lo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers him. Says Rashi, Ein Adoime, the tefillah of a tzaddik ben tzaddik to a tzaddik ben rasha. And why was it that Hashem answered Yitzchak? Because you can't compare the tefillah of a righteous person, the child of the son of a child, a righteous person, to a tzaddik ben rasha. So of course the shaila is, well, what do you mean? The Makam should say, tzaddik Russia, Baal Tshuva, ein tzaddik gadol michol, and tzaddikim gemurim michol ma'amod. The person who's Baal Tshuva, it comes from such a background. We have to give great credit to that person. How can we say that the tzaddik ben tzaddik is going to be favored over the tzaddik ben rasha? Rav Sternbuch explains the following: Yitzchak was not a ben tzaddik. Yitzchak was a tzaddik ben tzaddik. Rivka looked at her family and she was totally disgusted. She saw everything that was wrong and she said, "This is not for me." And she raised herself up and she became the Rivki Meir. Yitzchak Avinu saw his family, nobility, gentility, kedusha, and he said, "You know, I'm going to raise myself up too. I'm going to be like a Baal Tshuva too, not out of disgust, but out of being mocked at the greatness of the family." He wanted to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a different level, in a different way, and he did. In this respect, he's a tzaddik ben tzaddik, and therefore, as Vayasser lo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him over with it. It means to us too that every single person has the opportunity to be able to grow out of whatever good place he is into a better place, which is mamish the achrayus of each and every single person. We should all have siyata d'shmaya, a good Shabbos.